here's a quick demo how to load the third-person robot into your Unreal environment. This will be actually one of the big benefit using Unreal, right? Different from Twinmotion, there's have so many plugins, so many templates you can use, and third-person view is one of them. So by default, if I play the game, right? Let's call this a game. You basically have a first-person view. I can use my keyboard, WASD, right, to navigate through the space. It's kind of like you can fly, you can go into the building. You can use escape to stop the play. Okay, and every time when you play, it's actually launch the whole play from this location. This is called player start. By default, it's already in the template. It just gives you the anchor point. The camera will kick in, start the gameplay. So in order to have the third-person view, I will go ahead input something else. So in Unreal, you can import datasmith, right? This is the place you can load in the Rhino file, Twinmotion file. But here I'm going to do a different way. I will go to the content browser. Okay, in the content browser, I can add. This is very similar like adding a datasmith or adding other files. It has this extra option for you. It's called feature or content pack. Unreal is really large, so it's not really loading everything in the front. If you need additional features, you can add feature content pack. So in my old tutorial, I probably already showed in the content, you can load in the starter content, which include all the materials, very typical for architectural visualization, you can load in. But today, I'm going to load in something called Blueprint. Blueprint is the programming language, has a graphic interface in Unreal, allow you to do scripting without really writing a code. So under Blueprint, there are a couple of packages available. In the future, I maybe will introduce more. But today, I just want to do a third person. There's a little bit description about what is this package about, what it's capable to do. You can add this directly into your project. Okay, so just click Add, you're done. Simple like this. Since I did this already, so I don't want to redo it. It's already in my project. Okay, so once you add to your project, you should automatically see there is a new folder showed up in the content browser. You can dock in the layout if you don't want to, this disappear. It's called third person. Under the third person blueprint, there is a robot right here. Okay, so this is how you load additional content into Unreal. It also has, this is called, if you go to world settings, in the game mode, after you're loading the third person, it should have this new option for you. It's called BP third person. Okay, so you can switch the game mode. So let me explain a little bit what is game mode. Game mode basically is a set of parameters, control what kind of players should be loaded, what is the the HUD system, what is your player's status. So it's a bunch of parameters. So by loading the third person, right, the third person BP as your game mode, if you play again, instead of a camera, right, the robot will actually populate, will be spawned into the starting point. So if I play, okay, you can see instead of a camera, right, you see this robot show up. So now if I'm using the WASD, I should be able to control the robot. I think spacebar is jump, right? So you can have a pretty cool, third-person view. Really depends on your design. If you have like a stairs, right, it should be able to climb the stairs. So here I have this really rough ramp. You can see this robot has very smart IK system, able to understand the steps. And here I can jump in, I can come to my roof. So this is basically what you can do with a third-person robot. But I do want to dive a little bit deeper into what happened underneath, the engine. In the settings, okay, if I go to project settings, this is basically a large collection of parameters. If I go to input, you can see once you load this third-person package, it automatically gives you these options, right? You can have jump, look up, move forward, move right, turn right, turn right. So this is a preset parameters allow you to interact with the robot using mouse, keyboard. In the future, when we do VR, we have motion controllers, we have hand tracking, right? So this will be set here as well. It's just an input interface, allow you to control the robot. So right now, we don't really have to worry too much, but just to let you know, in the future, if you do want to customize, right, the keyboard, or game players, you can customize the interface directly here in the engine input. Okay, so we have these project settings. I will close it. I have the robot already, so play with it. You should be able to see the robot show up. Okay. If you do have like a relatively small ground, right? If you want to create a larger, bigger ground, feel free to go to. I think there's so many ways you can do it. You can create a box, right? So here, if you go to Add, Basic, you can create a shape. You can create a cube, right? Or you can create a plan. Just make sure it's big enough, right? So you can hold the player. Otherwise, the player will, falling down and infinite fall. So do a plan or do a cube. So if I do a plan, this plan is right here. It's not very big, but you can change the scale. Right, scale if I lock, well, I would just do 10, 10. Right, you can have a plan. Just make sure it's big enough. You can also using the W is move, E is rotate, R is the scale. This is kind of the same as other program. So if you do want to scale or rotate, you can do that. Then if you play, you should see this new face surface showed up. So this guy is able to climb. Yay. Right, it's pretty cool. All right, so let me pause the recording. I'd like you to just try, see if you can load a robot into your scene. Collision. So in order to climb a building, the building has to be able to simulate the physics, right? So when you climb, depends on the ramp, you should be able to go up. So by default, when you create a geometry directly in Unreal, for example, this box, this ramp, it already has its collision. You don't have to worry anything. But when you bring a file from external project like Rhino or Twinmotion, sometimes the collision is not there. So in this case, this is what you need to do. First, select object. It could be a stair, could be anything. If you right-click, you can browse to asset. Right? So the asset basically a link directly to the source of the actor. In this case, is a geometry. Is called static mesh. Right? If I double-click, this is basically an editing mode for this static mesh. So here, if I type collision, right, there is all parameters associated with collision. By default, the collision complexity should be project default. What you need to do is just switch to use complex collision. So this means it will using the triangulated mesh as your collision object. It's not most efficient way, but it's really straightforward. Right? in the future, when you really dive into large complex scene, you could using a low polygon simplified mesh as a collision, right? Which is more efficient to compute. So right now I will just using the complex collision as simple, and then you save it. Okay, you basically saved this static mesh. So now if I play, my robot should be able to interact with the purple the geometry physically, right? You see, the robot is not able to go through because of collision. And if you imagine, if I make this building has some kind of ramp, it should be over. I'll just do a really kind of quick. If I just make this as a slope, right? Play. Right, you see the building is kind of create this ramp-like thing, and the robot is able to climb up. Yeah, because the complexity is kind of bumpy, right? But it's all right. You're probably gonna stuck somewhere because all the holes. Right? So that's how to create the collision objects in Unreal.